It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Tonight was a special edition of AEW, as we all know, the day after Christmas, John Huber, aka Brodie Lee, passed away from a non-COVID lung issue. And tonight we celebrated watching match after match, people talking about their thoughts on Brodie Lee, and just everything that has gone down. I have not felt this horrible and this emotional for a death since Eddie Guerrero, I'm gonna be honest. Now, before we get into my thoughts or anything, there is a son of a bitch who doesn't work at Pro Wrestling Torch anymore, this guy hadn't even been dead for 24 fucking hours, puts out a tasteless, heartless article calling his wife a bona fide liar. You have some fucking nerve to go out there and pull that bullshit. You should never be able to work in journalism again because you're not a fucking journalist. You're a piece of shit throwing out propaganda to try and make yourself feel better. I hope you enjoy your unemployment, you piece of shit. Fuck off. Don't ever fucking talk about professional wrestling again, you piece of fucking garbage. Now, I loved what AEW did tonight, but I've been watching John Huber wrestle since he's made his debut back in 2012 when NXT was starting as a third brand, but it wasn't the only way you could watch NXT is you had to, I believe, be in Florida, because I think they had a local affiliate there, or how I watched it was Daily Motion. I didn't watch every episode of NXT back then because that's just way too much trying to find them all. But I've seen a bunch of them in 2012, 2013, then the network 2014. But I saw Luke Harper's debut with Bray Wyatt, and I didn't see any of Brodie's stuff on the independent scene. I didn't know. 2012-13 time period, I really didn't watch any independent wrestling because independent wrestling wasn't as big as it is today. Before this COVID stuff happened, the independent wrestling was big. It was exploding. It was just getting to the point where you didn't have to go to WWE or AEW to really do good business for yourself. If you could wrestle and you can get bookings, you're going to make a decent living on the independent scene. So I didn't know of CZW. I didn't know of all this stuff. The only thing I knew of in 2012 pretty much was WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, and a local affiliate, which was Cleveland All Pro Wrestling at the time, and then Pro Wrestling Ohio, then whatever else. But seeing this guy, this big, burly man with a big red black beard, big and red black hair, come down, destroy his opponent, who was Jason Jordan, actually, was his debut opponent, with the curly hair that he had. And just the Wyatt family itself was intriguing, very intriguing. We had Harper, Rowan, and Bray. Braun joined later. They came to the main roster, and it was interesting to start out. Now, Harper and Rowan, when they were first with the Wyatt family, they seemed like they were mindless drones following the orders of Bray Wyatt. Then for some reason, WWE aired this video package eventually that had Bray Wyatt releasing these two to do their own thing. So Luke Harper went on his own, Eric Rowan did too. But Luke Harper went on his own. He won the Intercontinental title from Dolph Ziggler during that period in 2014 when we had the Authority. And him and Dolph Ziggler gave you some great matches. And it was the matches against Dolph Ziggler that you really could see that this guy, if they put the rocket to him, strapped the rocket to him, and gave him and let him be himself, he would have been an all-time great in WWE. Now, of course, I did forget to mention about the Wyatt family feud with The Shield, which was, honestly, should have been the match going into WrestleMania. They had one of the most hyped matches in 2014. You could see that is what everybody wanted to see. They wanted to see the Wyatts versus The Shield. We got it at Elimination Chamber, the final pay-per-view before the network went live. And he was awesome in that match. But, yeah, he had a hell of a run, won the Intercontinental title, and it just felt like WWE could go places with this guy if they would put the rocket to him, but they never did. Then they brought the Wyatt family back together. And it wasn't Harper, Rowan, and Wyatt. It was Harper, Wyatt, and Orton for the most part. I think Rowan came back eventually, but Rowan didn't stay with the Wyatt very long. Now, when 2016 came around, and you had Harper, Randy Orton, and Bray Wyatt, and then you had them win the tag titles, the tag team titles, and going into WrestleMania season, Luke Harper, people wanted to see Harper get his shot at the WWE Championship. There was that awesome match between him and Randy Orton. I don't remember if it was at the Elimination Chamber or if Fastlane was a pay-per-view yet. I think Fastlane was a pay-per-view. I think it was Fastlane that Orton faced off against Harper. They had a hell of a match. It was a really underrated match in 2017. But he just wasn't in that match, and we just started seeing that WWE was using Harper less and less. And then what I thought was, I think, one of the best parts of his career in WWE was when they teamed him and Rowan up again as the Bludgeon Brothers. We actually got to hear him speak and talk, because that it wasn't them being the silent monsters behind Bray Wyatt. We actually had to hear them in their promos talk. And you could just tell that this guy was a hell of a talker. And just the WWE was finally doing something with these guys. We were going to see them run the tag team division for at least the next year. Then SummerSlam came together after that WrestleMania. Rowan gets injured. WWE doesn't want to do anything with Harper by himself. So they take him off TV. And then we get to on the way to WrestleMania the next year, and Rowan returns, but Harper does not. And WWE and Vince McMahon just have nothing for him. And we, as fans, were wondering, why won't they use this guy? Then we see Vince McMahon. We find out that Vince McMahon doesn't like the fact that he can't do a southern accent, even though the guy's from New York. I think he's from New York or New Jersey, one of those two areas. And I think it's Rochester, yeah. And that's why he wasn't used. And the last time we saw him in WWE was last year towards Hell in a Cell, when Rowan took on Roman Reigns. He came out and helped Rowan win that match, and then we led to the Bludgeon Brothers versus Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. They had that match. Of course, Roman and Daniel went over, and that was the last time Luke Harper wrestled in WWE. Then he got his release. He'd been asking for it for months because he wasn't happy. And yes, this man, if you listen to any interview that he's ever had, yes, he talks about wrestling because, you get asked wrestling questions, but he always mentions his family. He loved his family. He loved Brodie Lee Jr. He loved his 3-year-old Nolan, his wife. This guy was a family man through and through. He was definitely, we always hear how professional wrestling fathers are away from home. Mick Foley did it, Ric Flair did it. Others that I can't think of off the top of my head, like Rey Mysterio and all those, they've done it where they leave for weeks and months on the road. And Brodie wasn't like that. He was a family man. Even tonight, during this tribute show, everyone talked about how he was a family man, how it's hard to find those who want to just spend time with their family when they're not on the road. And Brodie was not that kind of guy. He loved to be around his family. This was his job. You hear how Like Drew McIntyre will say, this is his life, this is his career, this is his everything. This is what professional wrestlers do. They come here into wrestling to be a professional wrestler. They don't want to do anything else. Brodie wasn't like that. Brodie was a family man first, professional wrestler second. And then when March 18th came, and the Exalted One was to premiere in Rochester until the COVID stuff happened, and was in Daly's place, and it turned out to be Brodie Lee, it was interesting. Everybody was surprised, except for those, of course, the powers that be who booked the show. They knew what was going on, but to fans, it was a hell of a surprise. And then for the next 8 months, we saw this guy go from being like, can he be a main event guy? Could he be what we all thought he was in WWE? And him shattering everyone's expectations. This guy saved the Dark Order. Because before Brodie Lee came into AEW, Dark Order was a fucking mess. It was terrible. It was honestly a sinking ship that the AEW just would not let die. And then he came in, brought in Preston Vance, brought in Alan Angels to the Dark Order, gave Anna Jay what she was missing, because Anna Jay made her debut when they were at the Nightmare Factory, only having 7 matches. She eventually joined the Dark Order, and honestly, when she made her debut, it felt like there was just something missing. And Brodie Lee brought that out of her, and she is a better star because of it. You gotta think, she's just for 1 year into the business. I don't even think she's had 30 matches yet. And without Brodie Lee, she would not be where she is today. And she would probably be on Dark, losing every week, as just another member of the roster to help get others over. He did that to her. He brought Colt Cabana to be affiliated with the Dark Order. And just so much good that he did for this company. Elevating men and women. Helping this company. AEW is in a better place because of Brodie Lee. And it's just so hard to know that this guy, this wonderful guy, is gone so soon. Only 41 years old. He was only 11 years older than me. And this guy is a much better man than I probably ever will be. And just to see that all the good guys are always getting taken away early, it sucks. It really sucks. This guy, I don't know what else to say, but it's like we've seen him have, like, his match with John Moxley was great. The 2 matches he had with Cody, the fact that he squashed him to win the TNT Championship, his final match, the dog collar match, it's just crazy how things happen. It's just like, this whole 5 days or so have felt like a nightmare we've been living in, because it just felt like tonight there was going to all be a rib and Brodie Lee was going to show up and say, fooled you all, get the biggest heat because he faked his death to get a big rise out of everybody, but no. This is so hard to do because it's just, I don't think that this is just one of those, you sit here and you're watching 2 hours of love being shared about this man. Colt Cabana, John Silver looking like a mini Brodie Lee coming out wrestling in gear that looked like it was what Brodie would wear but shrunken down to John Silver's size. Just the Dark Order pretty much becoming a babyface faction in 1 week. I don't know how that's going to go from there. Seeing the emotion in Anna Jay's face from start to finish of her tag team match with Tay Conti. Just the final thing that they did, showing, like, if you did not tear up with that video package at the end, and you're not human, because that was great. Pretty much the video package you saw, they had words from Brodie Lee from the minute he came into AEW, and video clips, but then you would see pictures that were posted on Twitter and Instagram all this past week. And AEW just did this so well, and I'm so happy that this guy was, this tribute was to Brodie Lee tonight. Having John Silver use the discus, like doing his motion and then hitting the discus lariat, to Lance Archer dressing like Luke Harper, Eric Redbeard making his AEW debut by helping John Silver and them win their tag team match and taking out Wardlow. There's just so much good in this show, and I'm so damn happy that this company exists. This was a fantastic show. Now, I'll go over the show here in a minute, but I'm going to take a little break here. So we start off tonight's show with everybody, and I mean everybody. Not, they say the AEW roster, but this looked like the AEW roster, production crew, anybody who worked for the company was standing on the stage, including his wife, his sons, -1, who is Brodie Lee Jr., and Nolan Rhino, who is 3 years old and probably has no idea what's going on. Just doing what WWE should have did on Monday. So, we get the 10-bell salute. Again, something WWE should have did on Monday. They had the chance to do this, and they didn't. A tape video of Jon Moxley shown where Jon admits that there isn't much more to say that hasn't been said. He talks about how Brodie brought joy to people around him. Brodie loved being a dad and how this was just a job. Calls him this a soccer-style kick to the face, and notes that how pro wrestling is a community and how everyone supported each other when we're down. He hopes Brodie's legacy will inspire people to be good to each other's and appreciate life. Every day is a gift, every day is special, and every day I got to spend with Brodie was most special. I love you, Brodie, and I'll never forget you. Now, he's talking about legacy with Brodie. Brodie's legacy was wearing a mask, dressed in a tailor-made suit, carrying a kendo stick. Brodie Lee Jr. and Nolan. Those are his legacy. Brodie Lee will never die. His body might be gone, but his thoughts, his memories, his spirit will never be gone. You have 8 years of Brodie Lee, Luke Harper on the WWE Network for those kids to watch when they get older, and then you have 8 months of AEW for them to watch too. So, yeah. Brodie Lee will never be forgotten. The first match we had was Colt Cabana and the Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, versus Matt Hardy and Private Party. So, we've seen Colt Cabana come out, and he does, instead of doing the Dark Order thing, he puts his hand up like he's going to do it, and then just waves. Tonight, he did the whole thing, and you could just see the emotion on his face. He was doing everything he could to hold back the tears he knew were coming out. This was just an excellent opener to the show. Just 6 guys going out there. Matt Hardy slowly but surely turning heel. He's ordering which one of the Private Party members who should be tagged in. Him. Matt Hardy trying to use a chair towards the end of the match. Just one hell of a match here to start off. Colt hits the Chicago Skyline. Bucks hit the Undertaker. Colt with the Superman, the pin, and get the win. Colt Cabana and the Bucks win. You honestly know that none of the members of the Dark Order teams were going to lose tonight. Plain and simple. It just wasn't going to happen. So, after the match, the Acclaim come out. Matt Caster says he has something to say about Dark Order. SU runs out. Throws them into the ring. Bucks hit the Acclaim with the double suplex, double super kicks, and a boom drop. Take the Acclaim out to hold up and they all hold up the Dark Order pose, including the Bucks and Colt Cabana. So, just a great way to start the show. Just these. I'm just gonna say it now. These tribute shows do not get any easier. I know it's been a long while, since we've seen one of these in any wrestling company that I can remember. Other than, like they did something for Pat Patterson a few weeks ago, but it was just 10 bell salute, everyone stands out there, video package, that's it. This was just, it sucked. So then we get a testimonial from Darby Allin not wearing face paint for the first time I think I've ever seen him. He admitted he wanted to wrestle Brodie once he met him at Brodie's debut. He talked about how after being around this guy, there was no ego. Brodie wasn't here to take people's spots. He was here to lift everybody up. He was the man by far. I wish I could have wrestled him. Yeah, I know a lot of people are probably saying that too. Brodie Lee versus Darby Allin could have been one hell of a match. And honestly, when Darby won the TNT Championship, I thought, after the Team Taz stuff is done, I honestly thought this weeks ago when he won it. Because I know Darby wins the title, he's going to be going up against Team Taz for a bit. But when that's done with and he's still champion, it would be the perfect time for Brodie to come back, lay him out, and want to lay claim to the TNT Championship again. And that would have been a pay-per-view match at Revolution. Unfortunately, that's never going to happen. So, we have our next match, which is Eddie Kingston and Butcher and the Blade versus Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, and Lance Archer, dressed like Luke Harper. Before the match, Eddie Kingston says, "Brodie, I love you, I miss you. The Dark Order is nothing without him, and we're going to prove it to you cowards." So, just so much good in this match. So many homages paid. Archer, of course, with the Luke Harper this Luke Harper inspired gear. He even came out and did Brodie's mannerisms with the kissing. I think he the fingers to the mouth or something. I don't know what that is, but yeah, that just Stu Grayson rocks Kingston with the stomp in the corner. Bunny distracts Grayson, causing more chaos. Just you had this was a good match. Everyone went out there. They paid Brodie. I think it was Butcher and Uno, or was it Butcher? It was Uno and somebody were getting into a massive slap fight, slaps to the face, and they were just throwing slaps back and forth. I think it was actually Eddie Kingston, and I was like, Brodie would be smiling watching that, knowing that those guys are going out there and not holding anything back in the name of Brodie Lee. So Archer tags in, tries for the blackout. Kingston gets Blade down on us. Archer tags out to take out Kingston. Grayson takes out Butcher. Blade hit the fatality. And Lance Archer and the Dark Order get the win. Post-match, Eddie Kingston makes his way in the ring. Dark Order and Archer hit Kingston with some strikes. Jake Robertson comes in and hits a short arm clothesline to take him out. And everybody celebrates. Other testimonials begins with slideshows of Brodie's pictures and his family. Arn Anderson, Colt Cabana, and Arn Anderson share their memories. It was actually Cash Wheeler. I think it was Cash Wheeler. Yeah, and how much of a family man he was. Referee Bryce Wensberg, the only one that really, you can see the emotion. He can't hold the emotion in. Emotionally remembers Lee and their memories together, talking about family, talking about how when he first came back, when he first got to AEW, he met up with them again and it was like they didn't even miss a beat. And says if there was a Mount Rushmore of wrestling dads, Brodie Lee should be on that Mount Rushmore. Absolutely. In the circle, MJF, Ortiz, and Santana versus the Dark Orders, Alex Randall, John Silver, and Hangman Adam Page. So, before the show, MJF was cutting a promo when Santana on Twitter when Santana Ortiz came in and hand him this cooler. He opens it where we can't see it. Well, it turns out it was a bandana like theirs and new wrestling gear with Puerto Rican flag on it with the letters MJF on the back. So, to match them. So, Silver is dressed like Brodie Lee. They come out. They open their coats because they're both wearing coats, and they have papers like Brodie Lee would. So they throw them, hitting MJF, and I believe it was Santana. Oh, Santana Ortiz. MJF holds him back as he starts the match off. Adam Page hits him with a thing of papers. Now MJF during this match goes over to -1, who's in the babyface side with 5. He's yelling at him. He's cursing at him. He's just being a total asshole to this kid. Now, -1, who is of course Brodie Lee Jr., has a kendo stick. I don't know what I see what the suit's for, because that's how his dad would dress. Because Brodie Lee was a tall man, he had to get his suits tailor made. So I'm wondering what is with the kendo stick. I can understand the suit and the mask makes him part of the Dark Order. The kendo stick, I'd like to know what the meaning behind the kendo stick is, because I don't even know. But MJF is just he goes over there, yells at him. Later on, he flips the bird to the kid. Later on, towards the end of the match, he goes over, pulls the mask off, and Brodie in -1 takes the kendo stick, raises it up, and whacks him on the head. MJF falls over like he's dead. Wardlow comes in to take out Alex Reynolds, but out comes Eric Redbeard. He just comes out. He drops Wardlow with a chokeslam and runs him off to the backstage. Silver and Reynolds hit the combo, followed by a buckshot lariat covered, but MJF pulls Ortiz's leg onto the rope. MJF is taken out with the kendo stick. Alone in the ring, Silver with the Brodie discus lariat for the pin in the win. After the match, Eric comes back out, celebrates with them. He holds up a sign that says, "Goodbye for now, my brother. See you down the road," as the tears start coming out. And they just have an emotional moment in the ring. That was great to see Eric Redbeard come in. I hope this isn't the last time he is a part of AEW. I hope this is I hope when I look at social media tonight, it has a thing that says Eric Redbeard is all elite. It'd be a hell of a thing, because him and Brodie go back a good ways. They were intertwined together so often, whether it was part of the Wyatt family, feuding with each other a little bit here and there, the Bludgeon Brothers, the match, the fight between them and Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Him being a part of AEW is a must. Please, Tony, please tell me you signed Eric Redbeard. It's funny because he comes out and Jericho's on commentary, calls him Eric Rowan. So, and mentions the Bludgeon Brothers, which Tony Schiavone is like, dude, that's Eric Redbeard. Remember, it's Eric Redbeard. So, yeah. Now, apparently the sign has more meaning than just Brodie Lee passing away, because apparently when they would leave, in part, Brodie Lee would say goodbye forever, because he would want his time that he had with his family last forever. And Eddie Kingston testimonial plays as he expresses how much he'll miss Brodie. He tells Brodie kids that he'll never be gone as long as you remember him. He tells Brodie kids about how much Brodie loved them.
Brodie, Johnny, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you busting my balls. I'm going to miss yelling at you when you had that stupid jacket on and calling you Harry Potter. And you telling me that you're rich. I'm going to miss you believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. I want to tell Brodie Jr. and the little rhino and Nolan, your father's not gone. As long as you're alive and you remember him, and you remember his teachings, he's never gone. Your father wasn't just a warrior in the ring. Your father was a warrior outside of it. And when I mean a warrior outside of it, I mean he took care of his family. Many men don't do that nowadays. Your father took care of you and loved you. From the day you both were born, he loved you so much. Brodie, you're an inspiration to me.
Yes, he's an inspiration to many. Now, Dr. Britt Baker and Penelope Ford versus Anna Jay and Ty Conti. This was, I think, the most emotional match because, as I said at the beginning of this, Anna Jay came into the AEW, and I think it was April or May, when they did that big taping at the Nightmare Factory, where they taped like a month and a half worth of wrestling in 2 weeks, in 2 days. Which, of course, they didn't use all of that because they went back to Florida in May. So I think it was in April. But she had 2 matches. She was signed in the match she had with Shida. We didn't see her for a good while. Then she had a match with Abaddon, I believe it was, and she got squashed. And I'm like, oh, well, she's just going to be one of those, just another person on the roster. Then, before the segment was over, Brodie Lee and the rest of the Dark Order came out and helped her to the back, helped her up, and brought her with them to the Dark Order, out to the heel side. And she was added to the Dark Order. He gave her the number 99 because he's a big hockey fan, and that was Wayne Gretzky's number. And he helped her the most. I honestly think he helped 2 people the most, and that is Anna Jay and John Silver. Because when Anna Jay came in, she felt like she was missing something, and he helped bring out whatever she needed to do to stand out and be what she is today. Brodie Lee helped John Silver because I remember when the Beaver Boys, as they were known at the time, made their debut, and they were just guys who were losers. They were going to lose and lose and lose, and that was their job. They were going to lose. Then they joined the Dark Order, but that was at the time the Dark Order was just hot garbage. It wasn't doing anything. It was like, what the hell is this? Why are we seeing this? Why am I seeing this on my television? This is just a down part in AEW. He helped bring out the comedic side of John Silver. Stuff like BTE, stuff that you see on AEW's Wednesday night shows. Dark. John Silver today as a better John Silver than what we saw when he made his debut with Alex Silver. Oh, Alex Reynolds, I'm sorry. So, out of everybody in Dark Order, he's helped everybody in my opinion, but the 2 he's helped the most, Anna Jay and John Silver. Plain and simple. And you could just tell from this match that Anna Jay, who did the majority of the work, I mean, Tay Conti did get in there, but we're getting close to the end of the match, and she's just like, she hits a big move on to Britt Baker, and then she turns her back to her, looks at the hard camera, and you can just see that she's crying and trying to hold it in, but she can't. Because Brodie Lee meant so much to her career. But Jay driven to the second turnbuckle forward, hitting a rolling neckbreaker. Cover by Jay. Kick out. Jay catches Ford in a Queen Slayer. Conti takes out Baker. Rebel, as Ford is forced to tap out. Tony comes into the ring as he interviews Britt Baker. Baker, who called him to the ring, says she's sick of the conspiracy around here. She's saying everything is rigged, and she says big rig as that because, of course, apparently that was Brodie Lee's nickname, is Big Rig Brodie Lee back in the day. Thunder Rosa comes out, beats her up, and that was that. We get a tribute from Chris Jericho.
I had the pleasure of working with Brodie Lee, Luke Harper, 27 times. And I know this because Alex Marvez told me that today. And one of those times was in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I was in my room and I was looking at the ceiling.
Oh, hold on. Come on, work for me, you stupid thing.
I had the pleasure of working
Let's do it again, whatever.
Brodie Lee, Luke Harper, 27 times. And I know this because Alex Marvez told me that today. And one of those times was in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I was in my room and I was looking at the ceiling and there was this mark on the ceiling. I thought it was a bug at first, and I thought somebody had just put a sticker up there. It was really annoying me. And Brodie came to my room to hang out, and I was telling him, look at this sticker on the ceiling. What is this? I hate it. It's bugging me. He says, it's not a sticker. That's the arrow pointing to Mecca. And I was like, how do you know that? He's like, everybody knows that. I'm like, I didn't know that. And that sums up who Brodie was. A giant, but very intelligent, very smart, very funny, sarcastic sense of humor. Knew all of this trivia that he could just spew out of his mouth at any moment's notice. He was also one of the best
performers in the ring that I've worked with. And I'm not just saying that because he's gone. I believed in him. I helped bring him into AEW. And one of the small mercies about all of this is the last 6 months of his career, he proved to everybody what he knew he could be, which was a main event star, a legit money-making star, a pay-per-view headliner. And I'll end it with this. I have a dog, a silver lab. Her name is Oakley. She's very angry towards strangers, very barking, not the friendliest of dogs. John came to my house. He walked in the door, and Oakley came right over and started licking his hand right away. Even she knew what a great person John Huber was. I love you, Brodie, and we're going to miss you, man. We promise we'll take care of you, your family. We promise.
That's great. We as fans lost a hell of a freaking talent to sit there and cheer or boo or get behind or whatever, and the wrestling business lost one of the greatest men that probably has ever been in the business, and he was destined for so much greatness, and it's just sad that he's gone. So the final match was Cody Rhodes, Orange Cassidy, and 10 versus Team Taz, the Powerhouse Hobbs, Brian Cage, and Ricky Starks with Taz and Hook. Now, before the match, of course, like I said, -1's out there. So 10 gives him his jacket's over there. Orange Cassidy goes to get in the ring, but he rolls out and goes over to -1, who's sitting there. He puts his hand out, so he gets the lazy fist bump. Cody comes out there. Now, I understand why Cody was there. I understand completely why Cody was there, because Cody was his dad's last match. Preston Vance is his favorite member of the Dark Order, 10, and Orange Cassidy is his favorite wrestler. So this was dubbed as Brodie Lee Jr.'s dream match. And these 6 guys went out there. You had Powerhouse Hobbs and Orange Cassidy going one against each other, which was a heck of a thing. Unfortunately, we saw most of it doing picture-in-picture, which really, the part that a lot of people wanted to see you put in picture-in-picture. Come on, Tony. Just a hell of a match here, too. All the matches tonight were great. Nothing was bad. Even Britt Baker's match was pretty good. Orange Cassidy, Cody comes in, Crossroads, and launches Starks into 10 for a power spinebuster for the pin and the win. Cody hugs 10 and whispers in 10's ear. Cody tells 10 to pose in the corner. Team Taz comes in and takes out Cody, Orange, and 10. Let's Go Dark gets Darby Allin. He emerges from the back where John Moxley comes in. Let's Go out again and Sting. He also emerges from the back as well, and he and Sting make their way to the ring. Team Taz are on the ramp, covered in snow as Sting and Darby, Cody, Orange, and 10. The two sides stare each other down. So we go to commercial break. We come back. That was it for the matches. But Cody is now in the ring alone with a mic in hand. A Brodie chant breaks out in the crowd as Cody fights back tears. Talks about many stories has been told about Brodie and the positive impact he's had on everyone. He notes that there aren't many people that have that kind of impact across the companies, and says we're going to introduce his legacy tonight. Introducing -10, Brodie Lee Jr., who comes out with his mother, 10, and Tony Khan. Which tonight would be the first time, and probably, hopefully, the only time we see Tony Khan on TV. I know Tony Khan has said in interviews that he doesn't want to have anything to do with being an on-air talent, but this was a different night. He was there for the opening thing, which everyone was, but he needed to be in the ring for this final moment, for this final part of the show. And -10, -1 goes over. He has his dad's boots and he puts them in the middle of the ring. Cody covers it with Lee's trademark scarf. A spotlight is shown on the memorial. Tony calls Lee the greatest TNT champion they've ever had, and announces Brodie Lee Jr. as TNT champion for life, hands him a TNT championship, thanks the crowd, and ends the show on the tribute video showing clips and pictures from Brodie's wrestling career and life. As we see, if you saw anything on Twitter, Instagram, probably even Facebook too, I didn't look there. You saw it all there. You seen pictures of the Wyatt family. You saw him with his kids. Just everything. And it was a beautiful way to end the show. This was one of the most touching crazy, great shows that AEW could have put on. I am thankful that this company exists because they actually went out there and gave this guy a proper send-off, unlike other companies who just didn't do jack dick and their talent had to go out there and make everything worthwhile. Had to do everything. So Brodie is going to be very missed by the fans. He's going to be very missed by the companies. He's going to be missed by everybody. Not one person has said a bad thing about this man. And this was hard to watch tonight. And it's hard and it sucks. But this was just something that we needed to see. We as wrestling fans needed this. This is what a wrestling company does to pay the proper respects. Thank you, Mr. Brodie Lee. It was an honor to see you in WWE and an honor to see you in AEW for the little time we got to see you. You're missed. You're loved by the wrestling community, the wrestling fans, the wrestling talents. Everybody in the world is going to miss you. Thank you again. This is the Franz. Hit that subscribe button and I'll see you guys later.